You're watching Oilers Nation every day with Tyler Yaremchuk. Your one-stop shop for all things Oilers.
Today on the show, Jason Demers and Dave Pagnotta, and we'll review Game 3.
I mean, listen, everybody. We're trying to get the vibes up. Welcome into Oilers Nation every day. As always, live from the Sports Closet studio. Check them out online, sportscloset.ca. From jerseys to hats to the legendary foam finger, you'll find it all and more at the Sports Closet. I bit my tongue so hard.
Wow, what are you doing that for? If you're hungry, you should have grabbed something before the show.
Did you see the grilled cheese I made earlier?
I did. I made a ham sandwich.
Liam. I think it's bleeding.
Uh-oh.
I'm bleeding. My mouth is bleeding. Man.
Those are tight goggles.
It was not a tight hockey game.
No, that one slipped away pretty fast.
Yeah, I don't even know if slipped away. That was more like that wasn't a slip away. That was we were on like the 8th floor of a building and then just got pushed off the edge and immediately plummeted.
Yeah, the first two shifts of the game, really promising stuff going on in those opening two.
Liam, they scored 56 seconds in.
I know, but as soon as they went down the other end of the ice,
yeah,
you just kind of knew from that point. I didn't really understand how the first goal went in initially. I watched it back today, and you could just tell from that goal that Stu wasn't going to have a night.
Mm-hmm.
He was swimming a bit. You look to the previous games, like we were talking yesterday after the game. What was that? His 11th straight start, I think we remembered, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think that's the first time I've seen him kind of fall back into like oh shit, that was not a good one. So we were talking though after, not to get too far ahead of it, of like one thing I do love about Stu is nothing really phases him. His confidence, his belief level, I should say, and confidence level is always just at like the good enough point of like, I believe in myself. I know I can bounce back from that.
You even talked, remember last year when you were #media boy and you were in the locker room after they went down 3-0 and you said like Stuart Skinner was doing his media vote with like a smile on his face.
Yeah. And he said, what was his comment? It was something along the lines of like, another day comes. We'll just keep going and we'll keep winning. And then he rattled off 3 straight wins and was good in Game 7.
Yep.
Allowed 2 goals, obviously, but it was not his best night by any means, but also, too, I can't just sit here and be like, I can't believe Stuart's going to do this to us. The whole team was terrible, horrendous. But terrible. I would like to say something to the chat today.
Yep.
This is going to be people are going to have to get some things off their chest.
And if you want to do that, that's fine.
Go ahead. Just don't be dickheads to each other.
Yeah, don't be assholes.
You'll be good.
All right, the show, as always, is a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Use the promo code NATION. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. I want to give you guys some love over in the YouTube chat, which, of course, is brought to you by Odd Company Brewing and the Nation Beer Everyday Lager, a crisp, clean lager crafted not just for game day, but for every day. It's crafted for when you're sitting here having to stomach the fact the Oilers have lost back-to-back games in the Stanley Cup Final. You said it because you did the lead today. It was great. Also, if we're maybe in an okay mood, getting to sit in the pool for 10 minutes before you do the show.
That was a refresher.
That'll help. But we got Jason Demers coming up in about 10 minutes time.
Yeah.
We got David Pagnotta in studio at 12:45. He's coming on the patio with us. So very excited for that. Lola in the chat. Fans are allowed to be mad after that game. Absolutely.
Please be mad.
And Nathan, Oilers fans this year are embarrassing. This whole fan base gives up every single loss. And again, I understand both you. If we are Oilers fans, you are all Oilers fans. Should you be infuriated at the just absolute egg-laying that we watched last night? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you should.
A lot of people traveled. We traveled down for it. There was a good amount of Oilers fans there that paid good money to watch that shit.
Should you be sitting here saying this thing's a wrap?
No.
The team was down 3-0 to the Florida Panthers last year and won 3 straight games. Liam, quickly, what happens if the Oilers win 3 straight games right now?
They win the cup.
Bang.
They win the whole damn thing. They're only down
double
by 1
bang.
game. They've had a few bad hockey periods.
There is a world where the Edmonton Oilers win on Thursday and have home ice advantage in a best of 3 to win the Stanley Cup. This shit's not over.
No, Naeem makes a great comment. The problem is the way we lose is never normal. And again, we talked about this yesterday. It's like, this team's an absolute roller coaster. You really do not know what Oilers are going to show up. Is it the team that's going to shut you out and win 1-0 in an overtime when Kasperi Kapanen comes in the lineup? Or are you going to see last night where they absolutely stomped? I think I think you're going to lean more towards finding a team that's going to find their identity a bit more. Like this team, what we saw last night, we haven't seen that. I wrote an article today. I was like, that might be the worst game they've played in like 3 or 4 years. Like a legit meaningful game where they've just refused to show up. Terrible. And everyone is bad. Like for me, that's on the list. It's the top candidate.
Yeah. Did you guys catch this from Cameron? Did you catch the Cats fans pouring drinks on our players when exiting the game? The one thing I also kind of hate, like, I mean, when the Oilers eliminated the Kings last year on home ice, people were throwing beers towards the. There are assholes in every fan base.
Totally.
And there are people who go to the game and they're not the diehards who are going to sit and watch a daily show about it. They're going there to get banged up and throw shit around. So I'm not going to sit here and like get on a soapbox and be like, Florida Panthers fans are disrespectful. It's whatever.
I would say yesterday, we were sat, myself, BM, and Jay, fans, a lot of yelling, and I don't want this to come across poorly, but like, a lot of people who didn't understand what was happening. You could clearly see people were new hockey fans and everything. But
it's crazy that they've been to a cup final back-to-back years.
No one ever said anything to me. No one said a word to me. There was a gentleman behind us, a younger guy, very passionate fan. And Jay turned around and was just like, you should come to Edmonton if you want to see passion. Like, it wasn't chirping him or anything. And at the end of the game, the guy shook Jay's hand and was like, great to meet you. Have a great night. Like, it was genuine. Mm-hmm. The overall experience was fine. It's just, it was quiet. I'll say that much. It was a weird, I said to BM, I was like, probably the worst game I've ever been to. Fan experience, an on-ice product. Terrible.
That building was so quiet.
Also freezing.
Oh, was it cold?
Ice cold. Holy baloney. That was a cold boy.
Mm-hmm. Depressed Canadian is in. It by no means is the main reason why they lost, but the reffing inconsistencies is a serious issue. The refs have a hate on for certain Oilers. Let's get into a little game recap here. Jason Demers, I believe, will be around in about 5 minutes' time. But our game recap is brought to you by Charm Diamond Centers, where you can get a custom ring built and delivered in less than 4 weeks through the Charm Masterpiece program. And you can also apply for a Charm Diamond Flexity card today to get approved for no interest financing on your purchase in minutes. What is Jay doing?
A lotion?
Body wash? What are you doing, Jay? He has a jug of soap. He has a jug of soap, and he's going to use it as a kettlebell to do a workout on the pier.
Wow. Watch out, Jay, these lizards.
Yeah, there was a big lizard out there earlier. All right, we're trying not to get distracted. We're trying to give the people a good show. Apologies.
To be by that.
The Edmonton Oilers are a team that thrives on getting into a groove.
Yes.
They like when they can establish their system and they just start rolling it. It's one line after the other, and it's boom, we got you on an ice, and Connor and Leon over the boards. Boom, we got you shorthanded. We're pinning you in for the whole 2 minutes or scoring a big goal. They threw themselves, like the Brad Marchand goal 56 seconds in is not at all what cost them or threw them off.
That was a delayed penalty too, ironically.
It was a delayed penalty.
Yeah.
Evander Kane cross-check against Gustav Forsling, 5:13 in. Evander Kane high stick against Brad Marchand, 7:54 in. Too many men on the ice caused by Evander Kane, 10:09 in. Victor Arvidsson, goalie interference, 17:14. Was the cross-check soft as baby shit?
Yes.
Did he actually high stick Brad Marchand?
No.
Was it clearly too many men? Yes.
Yes.
Although Knobloch's comment after the game, very funny.
Yeah.
Victor Arvidsson, did he get pushed into Sergei Bobrovsky?
A bit of contact.
Here's my thing. The Oilers were trying a little bit too hard, I think, to try, and maybe it's just Kane and Arvidsson. They were trying a little bit too hard to be heroes. They did not want to just play their game. They wanted to try to intimidate the Panthers a little bit early on in that one. And I feel like that cost them because it was a parade to the penalty box. Now, let's have a conversation about the standard of officiating. It's an absolute joke to have a game where you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 minor penalties in the first period and 1 in the second period. And we're looking at Lundell flip-flopping around. We're looking at Forsling flip-flopping around. Marchand selling a high stick. And the refs call everything.
Yeah.
And it feels like this Florida team a little bit, they love to do well, if we take 10 minor penalties in the first period, we can just keep taking those penalties because they're not going to be, they called 8 minors, 8, 16, 24. Come on, they're not giving out 24 power plays in a game, although ironically enough, they almost did.
Almost
but again, more on that in a little bit. The standard was whack. Florida was diving around. They were calling everything every time someone got breathed on. Then the second period, the whistles go away, just like it did in the first game, just like it did in the second game. And they let Florida get away with everything. And it took the Oilers turning it into a scene from Slapshot for the refs to get their whistles back out. The standard of officiating is an absolute joke. The officials have been the number one storyline in the first period every single game of this Stanley Cup Final.
It looks like they're trying to set a standard of like, we're not going to let this game get out of control. And I've always had this stance of like, that is when you allow the game to get out of control, when you become too involved. Because like you said, like nobody's able to play. Like there's nothing going right for you at the moment because you're constantly getting frustrated with the calls that are being made. And also too, like,
I can't believe they called this.
I'm just so frustrated with the Panthers diving around. And this one's bad. But the Lundell one when Nurse got called was embarrassing. Yeah. I can't believe Wes McCauley was drawn into that. A cross check. Like Lundell was clearly looking for it. Sure, like call the cross check, but like just call the clear embellishment that happens right in front of you, man.
Once
like,
you call the embellishment once, it usually cuts it out. It
usually goes away. And then right after he cross checks him, like, I don't know, maybe he did catch him in the face, but like the dive around it, it's like, you've got to be joking. And like the Bobrovsky, like Arvidsson into Bobrovsky, like this is Aaron, thanks for pulling that up. But like, look at this one here. That is unbelievable. You
and then
have
to
be
get
so
up
embarrassed by that.
And dive again here.
Yeah, it's Walman chops him in the face. I didn't realize it was Walman at the time, but it's just like, look, I'm not at an NHL level, and I don't want to get too high on myself here, but like, being involved in conversations with officiating by like other junior hockey leagues and stuff, and people always says like, we see it. And there is no way after games, Knobloch isn't calling the head of officiating or whoever he needs to call and be like, how are you not seeing this? And they're 100% responding, being like, we see it. We'll call it next game. And they fucking never do. And it makes no sense at all. And you just allow the Florida Panthers to just embarrass your league. Like, this is not a good look at all.
Yep.
And I also don't want this to get swayed of like, the Oilers lost because of the officials, because I actually don't believe that. I think the Oilers lost because they played terribly in general, and the officials didn't help.
Yeah.
But this is pathetic.
The officiating early on prevented the Oilers from getting into a rhythm, but then they scored a power play goal early on in the second period. Corey Perry finds the back of the net, and you're thinking, boom, here we go. Power play just gave them a spark. Let's find our flow.
Yeah.
And then you give up a breakaway goal 2 seconds later. Here's the Perry goal to make it 2-1. Their power play seems to know how to find success, and we'll talk about this with Demers a little bit, but they almost seem like they don't want to feels like they don't want to keep doing the same thing over and over again, because what's working is getting Bouchard to shoot pucks from the point.
Yeah.
And they almost don't want to do it because they want to like show the Panthers that they're not a one-trick pony and whatever, but like, man, their best looks all came off getting it to Bouchard at the top. And like, look, as soon as they start moving around, watch the Panthers PK guys. They take a stride back before they ever take a stride forward. You're getting them collapsing if you move around up top. I don't know why the Oilers aren't doing that more. They did it here. They score. It's 2-1. I turned to Jason Demers in the press box. It's like, this thing might not be over.
Well, it's a perfect time to go score.
Breakaway goal, Sam Bennett. It's 3-1. And, I mean, the game was just never close again.
Was it Sam Bennett or was it the John Klingberg mistake where he skated into the refs?
Sorry. Yeah. My bad. The 3-1, then the Bennett goal was the 4-1.
Okay. Klingberg did this last game too in overtime, where he overhandled the carrying the puck, and that's when Stu had to come across, I think it was actually on Marchand, and make that stop, and then Klingberg cleared off the goal line. And no one commented on Klingberg making that huge mistake of fumbling the puck so much. But it's just like, man, like certain moments, I know there's this, they've obviously been icing a lot of pucks, but I think Paul Maurice said it pretty well going into game 3. It was like, sometimes you just gotta ice it. Like, get yourself out of a spot.
Or trust that your winger's there.
Yeah,
like, the Oilers
just,
were
like,
so timid moving the puck out of their own end last game.
Glassing out. And I know the officials a bit in the way, and some people are saying there's a missed call on Barkov. Like, I don't know. I think this is a bad play by Klingberg. I think there's a terrible play by him, and he's got to cut this shit out.
This is also where the standard's irritating, because, like, there is a slash and a shove there, and, like, Evander Kane gets called for the softest cross-check ever because Forsling goes down, and then that there, like... there's a slash, there's a whack, but it's not a penalty.
It's nothing, yeah.
Okay, but using the standard from the first period, it is a penalty, and that's why the officiating's frustrating. Not because I think it's overly one-sided or whatever. It's just like the standard is fucking nowhere to be found.
Yeah. Also, could have used a save there.
Yep.
That was the one I really didn't. Well, a couple of them, but I didn't like
he picks the corner, but like your positioning should be a bit better there.
Stand tall, man.
And like you should know the fucking refs there.
Yeah. Like this is a really bad play.
Let's get out to the guest line because there's one part of this recap we haven't talked about yet. Guest line brought to you by Star Mechanical, Edmonton's #1 plumbing and heating company. Whether it's residential, commercial, or 24/7 emergency service, they do it all and they do it well at Star Mechanical, one of Edmonton's largest locally owned and operated businesses. Jason Demers joins us on the show. He was my press box buddy last night, and I live with guilt and shame because I didn't know it was your birthday. Happy belated, JD.
Oh, thank you, my man. I appreciate it. I love the view. A little water in the background. The boys look nice in the Airbnb. I love it. Look at you.
We're living
just off of Jasper Avenue.
Oh, look at Aaron made a happy birthday graphic for the former Oiler Jason.
Oh, that's sweet.
Great job, Aaron.
I appreciate it, guys. You could have used my glassing out yesterday.
I mean,
of them could have.
There's a lot of things the Oilers could have used last night. Having you on the show a little bit earlier in the week, because you and I were press box buddies last night, and I felt like we were talking, or you were telling me so many interesting things. The people need to hear what JD has to say. Let me start with the antics in the third period, because that's kind of where we were at in our game recap. Did the Oilers cross a line?
I think they crossed it way too late. I just think at that point it's a moot point, and we were really discussing it. I always like listening to Mike Rupp about that kind of stuff and chatting with him, and the opportunity came in the second period when Evander Kane was kind of squared off with Matthew Tkachuk, and you have the opportunity. Listen, I thought the game was over in the second period. I thought they looked mentally out of it. And I know you kind of like as a team you want to stay in it, but I would have made it complete chaos in the second and get as many guys kicked out as possible. And not to say I'm not advocating ever to go injure somebody, but the big point for me that I wanted to drive home last night and today I'm going to do a show after this and is if you're in for a penny, you might as well be in for the whole thing. And the guys going here and fighting against the toughest line on the team, and now you got Gadjevich fighting Nurse, which Nurse is probably your toughest guy in the team, and having him and making Gadjevich look good here and their fourth line look good, which has been a big point of contention on this Florida Panthers team, and they get AJ Greer back, and then that fourth line looks like a huge difference maker. But I don't mind Frederick going after Bennett, but listen, you wait till the third period when it's 6-1, like do it at the end of the second. Connor Brown had Nico Mikkola like turtling. Matthew Tkachuk was running away from Evander Kane, and everybody kept their gloves on. And I'm not, again, we've talked about this before. I was not the toughest guy, but listen, you have an opportunity to kind of cut the head off the snake and embarrass Matthew Tkachuk in that series, who is the kind of the driver of the shit disturbing, but also like he kind of is the motor on that team, and you have the opportunity to grab him and piss pump him. So and once again, do I think Matthew Tkachuk could definitely hold his own, but Evander Kane is a very tough individual, very tough customer. And you had kind of Matthew Tkachuk kind of not wanting to engage, and he's a smart guy. He's a really smart guy. He picks his spots, but you had the chance with no refs around to kind of grab him and just enact some pain. And because they weren't getting the calls, they were undisciplined. They couldn't break the puck out. Nothing. They played god awful. It was their worst game since I think game 1 or 2 against LA. And you have to realize in that moment that like you do that at the end of the game when it's 6-1. You kind of play right into the hands of Florida. Now you've given them kind of all the momentum, and you've given them a lot of confidence, and you've made that fourth line look good, which that's not a trade-off I want. Gadjevich is a good player, but I don't want to trade Nursey for Gadjevich when it's 6-1. Like, if Nursey beats him up, Gadjevich still looks good, and you still galvanize that team. And going after Bennett was the best part of that. But if you're going to cross check somebody in the back twice, you might as well drop the gloves and just start swinging. Because what happened last night is Edmonton. We can get mad at the refs and stuff like that, but I saw Wes McCauley after the game, and I said, I looked at him and I said, they're taking all these ticky tack slashes and high sticks. You might as well drop the gloves. And if you're going to get a 2 minute, you might as well make it worth it. Like, make it worth it, because they're not going to engage in you. And they kind of, the thing with Florida is they cattle prod you. And then as soon as you kind of whack them or go to swing on them, they go, "Oh, what are you doing?" Like, "Oh, we're out of it. We stay out of it." So they draw those retaliatory penalties. So I'm like, don't wait. Like, if Lundell and Losarainen, like, you look at the Kasperi Kapanen penalty, he goes and takes a whack at Bouchard. It's whatever 5-6-1, or it's 5-1 at that point, and Kapanen goes and cross checks him in the arm. I'm like, sprint at him, take a swing at him in the face with your glove on, and then drop the gloves and start swinging. And whether he gets injured or not, it is what it is. But if they're willing to engage in those little things, you have to challenge them, like, physically. Just going up to them and cross checking them, or kind of giving them a face wash, and then they fall down and you take a 2 minute penalty. I'm just a big advocate of, when I played, I'm like, if you're going to take the two and you're going to take a dumb penalty, I mean, let's make it worth it. Like, let's make this worth it. Like, you have Kachuk here. I like that Wallman gives him a shot, but I mean, keep going. Like, keep going. Like, don't stop. Don't wait for everybody to come in. If you're going to do that, you're going to get kicked out. He's not going to fight you. And then now you let them kind of get reinforcement. So it's like, once again, I don't think you should be doing this. I think it shows how frustrated you are. But I'm just like, if you're going to do it, do it. Like, like, what are you attempting to do here? Like, this just makes them look so good, and it makes them seem like they're living in your head rent free. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so like you mentioned, like, it's almost galvanizing for Florida to be like, look, we are in these guys' heads, whatever. It's obviously a very frustrating night for the Edmonton Oilers. Does this blow up and letting all of this steam out and punching guys and whatever, can that be galvanizing for the Oilers at all, do you think? Like, you think it could bring them together and be like, all right, we went through all that fight together, we stuck up for each other, now let's win a goddamn hockey game?
Yeah, like, listen, it's so funny how the narrative changes in a playoff series game to game. Like, Edmonton wins 1-0. They look great. We think they're going to sweep them. Florida wins that one. We're like, oh, we have a series now. And then you win this game, and you're like, well, this is going to be a 5-game series for Florida. It changes game to game. I think it's all going to be how they come back into it. Game 4, I think this is a veteran team, and I know we're showing this thing with Corey Perry. Like, this Florida team has more. I hate saying fake tough, because it's guys that would fight, but like, they're bigger guys that they don't engage. They play very physical, but if you challenge them, they won't oblige you. So that's why it's like, in these moments, I like Corey. The linesman got in and a little bit too early on a lot of these and protected Florida, and they know what they're doing. You see Rodriguez with the cross check. So I just kind of go back to it where it's like, don't wait. Like, don't wait and don't ask permission. Just ask for forgiveness. And that's where my head goes with this. But leading into next game, they have 2 days, take a breath, reset. They've shown they can play. The bigger issue for me was the fact that they couldn't get anything going offensively off the rush. They couldn't break the puck out. It was an ugly game before all of this nonsense and poppycock, so to speak, happened. I just think they lost their heads, and it started with Evander Kane early in the game with a couple of those ticky tack penalties. And um, I saw Corey Perry grab him at the TV timeout when he kind of caused that too many men penalty. And I was like, okay, he's going to kind of settle down and settle in, but they just couldn't find their footing. And largely in part because, you know, and you said it, Tyler, up there, like, you kind of expected Florida to really come out hard, and they did, and they were ready to go. And I don't think Edmonton was ready to go at all. and it really caught them off guard. And then they were just scrambling and swimming and looking for options. And the problem with Florida is when you let them get that lead, you see, look at game 1 versus game 2 and 3. When Florida gets a lead, they're not typically a team that like will sit back. They'll start causing some shit. And what I like to say is they take like a ton of penalties in the first period, and then they just kind of desensitize the refs because they can if you watch them, they take a penalty almost every shift, clutch and grab and old school, but the refs just don't really call it because they kind of toe that line and they figured out the perfect way to toe the line. So for Edmonton, you got to fight through that stuff, but it starts with cleaning up the breakouts, and that's where everything's kind of fallen down and they've fallen flat on their face. Because last year when they had that run back when they were down 3-0, they started breaking out the puck super clean, getting up ice, stretching out Florida, making Florida chase them, and then that's when they found success. Like when you look at the rush chances from last game to this game, uh you know, it wasn't great. Like Connor and Leon couldn't get anything going on the rush, and that starts with the breakouts and not creating these huge turnovers, which there were just way too many turnovers from the Edmonton Oilers defense that led to grade A scoring chances. So that's something I'm sure they're going to clean up. And it's just, take a breath, relax. You have 2 days. It's 2-1. You win game 4. It's 2-2 going back to Edmonton. So it's like it's easy to like snap and lose it, and that's the beautiful thing about the finals in the NHL is you have these like 2 games in between, and you think the world's falling down on you, and I'm sure fans are going nuts, but like the guys are waking up this morning, probably had a meeting, they might not even went into the rink, or if they did, it's like, hey guys, just relax, we're in the Stanley Cup Finals, we're here. Listen, they got one over on us. The worst thing you could do is allow it to snowball. You just go back, win like a 2-1 hockey game next game. You got Stuart Skinner in game 4, and you're off to the races, and you're going back to Edmonton all square with home ice.
I think there's an interesting storyline developing for the Oilers since Matthias Ekholm came back into the lineup. And I don't want this to be like a negative comment on Ekholm, but like, though
I told Tyler.
Yeah, hey Liam, use the word you put in our. What did Ekholm do? What word did you put in our prep sheet?
I said Matthias Ekholm has cucked the Oilers,
and
this is not working out for them at all. And you've probably got to look again, Troy Stetcher in the lineup, right? I would think maybe for Klingberg and just trying to balance out these pairings again.
Yeah, I mean, number one, I think, unfortunately, the saddest thing about this is they lost Brett Kulak. Brett Kulak was having an incredible playoffs, and I think, Brett Kulak is a very fickle guy offensive, mentally, in the sense that like he takes on the challenge when you give it to him. And the thing is when you give him that challenge and you pull it away, it takes him a little bit of time to readjust. And it's tough because you can't keep a guy like Matthias Ekholm out, and that's just the nature of the beast in the NHL. But putting Kulak with Nursey, I mean, their stats weren't great together, and I don't think Ekholm has been great. I don't think he hasn't moved the puck very well. He's more of a, he needs to kind of get comfortable to start moving the puck through the middle, and I think he's kind of stagnated the breakouts a little bit for Bush. I think Kulak really had something special going on. And I think they had some really good chemistry. I would have much rather Ekholm go with not Nursey, but I would have rather had Ekholm go with like a Jake Wallman, and then you can put Stetcher back with Nurse, because Stetcher and Nurse really had great chemistry, and unfortunately John Klingberg, I love him. He had a great playoffs and he's been doing good, but he struggled the last few games, and I think they've gotten to him a little bit, and Marchand's been all over him and targeting him, and it's just kind of pulled him off of his game a bit, moving the puck wise. He's still generating some scoring chances, but I just think you have to find some semblance of you need to bring a dog in, and I think Stetcher will kind of go into the corners and muck it up and break pucks out and make it ugly, and you saw a lot of those turnovers that Klinger happened around him, as guys are kind of, you could argue that Barkov slashed him and hooked him and held him, but that's like borderline calls in the playoffs. And I think before that even happened, he has to use the net as a shield and not just go out into the traffic. So he wheels the net and allows Barkov to cut him off. If he stops, it's fine. So I just think he's overthinking it on the breakouts. And I just think Stetcher will maybe simplify it a bit and get the pucks up a little bit quicker to the forwards, which that's what they need to do. And that's why they were successful last year in the playoffs when they came back, is you just got to try to get it up quick and beat that forecheck and alleviate the pressure. So, but yeah, back to your point about Ekholm, it's really thrown the deep pairings for a loop, I think. And nothing against Matthias. It's just, it's taken some time and I'm always worrisome. Doesn't matter how good a defenseman is, when you find success as a decor and you have chemistry, it is so hard to disrupt that. Like you don't want to disrupt that, and you have to put Ekholm in. But you look at Dallas with Miro Heiskanen, like it took Thomas Harley like games to get back, and Thomas Harley's leading the charge, and then all of a sudden he drops down. He loses those minutes. The forwards aren't comfortable with him breaking out because they've gotten so used to those six throughout this playoff run breaking the puck out, and then all of a sudden you throw a lefty in, and you pull out that righty. So you had three righties down, and now you have one set that is flip flop pairs. So whether it's Kulak and Wallman or Nursey and Kulak, and that's just a tougher. That slows down the breakouts at time because there's certain areas of the ice where you can't get the puck to the forwards as cleanly when you're two lefties, and it is what it is. That's why a lot of teams love going righty lefty, righty lefty. It just provides that kind of stability, and I just think it's kind of screwed things up a bit on the breakout specifically because every game has gotten worse and worse since he's been back. Them breaking the puck out.
Yeah.
Last one before we let you go, and you can be quick with it if you need to bounce. What is the key to this Oilers power play getting going? Because you had some observations yesterday about what was working that I found interesting.
Well, they're going to try to take away Leon, and unless Connor does what he did in game 2, where he goes fucking otherworldly and McJesus and walks on water and dangles four guys to open up Leon, you're not going to find that look a ton. And again, Bush is producing and he's finding it. And I know people, or you can get married to finding that clean play on Florida, but they're kind of expanding out and they leave that net front open when Bush walks the top because they're trying to like keep the puck off McDavid's stick in space, and they're trying to limit Leon. When Leon gets it, they kind of sprint at him just to get it out of his hands. So if I'm them, and they did it a few times early on, is just fucking, if they're gonna let Bush shoot, I mean, tell Bush to shoot head high and chest high and just pound the puck over and over again, and then you're gonna find that hole that's gonna open and have him just work with Corey Perry. I mean, you saw what Florida did. With their power play that opened things up, going into that bumper and then kicking it out to the wing because they know the Edmonton Oilers have a little exchange when they go low to high with the forwards, that you can find that hole and then you can get it over to the backside D man. It worked twice. Edmonton's, they're giving you a PK has to give up something, and they're giving you that shot from the top, from the middle. I mean, take it. I mean, that's what power plays dream of. And then, you pound it 3 or 4 times in the chest. They're going to be a little bit more hesitant to block it, and then you can start moving it to the wings. But all their chances started when they started rolling up top and pounding the puck. And then from there, you can start looking for your plays. But I think initially, when that PK is fresh, like just try to find holes for Bush because he's finding the lanes. You just got to find him and Perry to work some magic, which they did on that one goal. So, but yeah, it's listen, it's not all doom and gloom. I'm sure it's tough for Oilers fans today, getting up in the morning and you're like motherfuckers. But there's always game 4. Knobloch's gonna adjust. Can't get frustrated. They got to calm down the guys. I know it's an annoying team to play against in Florida, and I mean it's one of those teams that I'm sitting up there being like, I want to go on the ice and chase them all around too because they're so good at what they do. You just got to get back to your game, reset, get back to your game, especially on the power play.
Mm-hmm.
JD, you are the man. Appreciate it. You can find his work, NHL Network, Royal Mayfair lid on. I love it. Showing some support to Edmonton. Thanks, JD.
Thanks, JD. See you later.
Let's go, guys. Go have a Mai Tai and a daiquiri, you little pussies, you. Whee! It's Taco Tuesday. Go hit up
Mark,
go hit up Rock Bar on the beach. 2-for-1 Scorpion Bowl margaritas.
Oh, I'll have
okay,
to go check.
sounds
that out.
good.
All right,
And
JD.
I'll buy you a birthday beer at Elbow Room tonight.
Oh, that might be a plan. I'll keep you to that, you cheap bastard. Better not be Pabst Blue or Pabst Original or Natty Lights or some shit like that.
I only have $20 more of American money, so you get what you get.
That's okay. All right. Sounds
Hey,
good. See you guys.
there you go.
Cheers.
Yeah.
Jason Demers on the Star Mechanical guest line. He is also brought to you by our friends at Tourism Jasper. Your best summer memories are not behind you. They are waiting for you this summer in Jasper. So stay up late, play outside, soak up the fresh air, and plan your trip at jasper.travel/summer. Jason Demers called us pussies.
Wow.
That'll happen.
That's just something
That'll
we're just
happen.
gonna have to deal with from
Yep.
this time, isn't it?
Smitty says $35 beers at Elbow Room. Yeah, I think the Bud Lights are like $12. So if I buy JD his birthday beer, I don't get one.
You have to watch him.
I just gotta. Nope. Nope.
Smoke's bad in Edmonton right now.
Smoke is bad in Edmonton right now.
We got a 10.
New Pope.
Stay safe, everyone.
Oh.
Stay indoors, folks. Grab your inhalers.
Yep. All right. We got a couple more things that we want to get to, and then we'll get to our friend David Pagnotta, who's joining us in studio.
Ooh.
We do need to do a little lineup report from today for our friends at Douglas Mattress. Liam, our Airbnb is lovely. The air conditioning works. The pool's good. But it doesn't have a Douglas mattress, so I'm not sleeping as good as I do back home. It is Canada's best mattress. I can attest that you will sleep like a baby on your mattress. Free shipping across Canada and great value starting at $599, and it all comes with their industry-leading 365-night trial to make sure you love it. If you don't love it, not only free returns, but they donate it to a local charity as well, and they pick it up from you for free. Shout out to Douglas Mattress. Find out more, douglas.ca/nation. The Edmonton Oilers did practice today at the facility in Fort Lauderdale, and according to TSN's Ryan Rashog, it was the same lines and pairings. Nugent Hopkins had Skinner filling in for him, but other than that, same old from Chris Knobloch. What do you make of this? Is it? I don't think this means it's a lock. They're running the same lines and pairings for the game. Apparently, they're going to take tomorrow off. Okay. But what do you think of, I guess, the Oilers even just getting back on the ice right the day after that big loss?
Get at it.
Get at it, boys.
What are you waiting for? There's only a couple of days. Have tomorrow off.
What are you going to do? Go sit at the beach?
Yeah. Remember what happened last time? They all got sunburned?
They all got sunburned and got their asses kicked
by the LA Kings.
Yeah.
You know what? They train for these moments all year in the way that they jumble up their lines all the time. Everyone gets to know each other and the way they all play. And, like, of course, like, it's a big game tomorrow, Thursday. God damn it, I wish it was tomorrow.
Yeah.
But this, to me, says nothing. You know my biggest takeaway from this lineup, Tyler?
What?
Tony Bra keeps coming at us with this whole Ryan Jones thing and his scratches, and it just throws me off so much.
Because you think he's saying Ryan Jones.
I know. Well, it's just instinctually. That's what you think back to. And you think of the wavy hair, and Doobie obviously was in town last week. Give us a little catch-up on what Jones has been up to. Ryan Jones shaped a generation in our city. So that's my takeaway. And also, too, went to defensive pairings, like all different when warm-up started yesterday in comparison. So what I would say to this is things will probably change. What would you change tomorrow? We'll do our own lineup report. If you have Chris Knobloch coming into this game, D pairings, this is what I would do. Kulak, Bouchard.
Yep.
Nurse, Wallman.
No.
Sorry, Nurse Stetcher.
Bingo.
Ekholm, Wallman. That's what I would do. And
we said that when Ekholm was returning. You had three pairings that were working.
Ease it in.
The Oilers disrupted two of the three. There was a path to only having to disrupt one of the three pairings and keeping your two best pairings together, and they didn't do it. I would have Kulak with Bouchard. You know it works. I would have Ekholm with Wallman. You know Ekholm plays good with a puck mover, and it would give Wallman a steadying presence, which I think he might kind of need.
Yeah.
And you have Nurse with the Nurse Whisperer, Tony Stretcher.
It just makes too much sense.
It makes way too much sense for them to not be doing it.
And like Ekholm, someone said earlier, sorry, I missed the comment, but I saw it. It was just like, you have to scratch him. He's just like, the ceiling's too high with Ekholm to scratch.
Mm-hmm.
with Tony Stretcher, you know what you're getting. He's going in, he's putting in a shift for however many he gets, and he's giving you a solid effort. Ekholm can change a game. Yep. Let's not forget, he scored the second goal in game one.
Mm-hmm.
A big part of that game and the outcome of it all, and he's a great player for the Oilers. He's obviously come back and struggled a little bit in these past 2 games, but I don't want to take away from what he actually is. And the same thing with Darnell Nurse. I think his game has got away from him a little bit. It's got to draw him back in. Sometimes it's good for these players just to get out of the lineup like a John Klingberg probably will tomorrow, I would think, and take a step back and look at it. The other side of it, too, is, and maybe if we wanted to read into the actual lines, is like they're just going into it, but like, okay, you guys, that was the worst game you players have played all season. Go show me what you got. It's a lot to risk, and I don't think that's the way they go, but also, too, I don't think it's like completely off the table that they keep the same lineup tomorrow or Thursday.
So that maybe ties in a little bit to what you had your one big take as. Our one big take today is brought to you by Budweiser. Yes. It's been brewed in Edmonton for 45 years, and by partnering with Mark Messier, a proud Edmontonian, on their limited edition Edmonton can, they are setting out to reignite that City of Champions spirit, the kind of spirit that doesn't get broken by being 2-1, being down 2-1 in a series.
Yeah,
we believe. Edmonton, you got to believe. Shout out to our friends at Budweiser. They even brought one of the original City of Champions signs back to the brewery during the brewing process. The chat has figured out that Jay is swimming in the pool behind us.
10 laps. I've been counting.
You know, he's just treading water. I don't even know if he's swimming.
He's been swimming a little bit.
Okay. Liam, your one big take, and then we'll get to our guest.
So this lines up well with a comment Ron put in the chat. Guys, are you not a little worried after watching an absolute shit show last night? No. Because in the Stanley Cup, any round, you can lose 10-0, lose 1-0. It just counts as one game on the sheet.
Florida did not take a 3-1 series lead last night.
No, they did not.
And you got stats to back this up.
I've got a few stats. And you guys know me. My
stats are facts.
Usually pretty accurate.
Liam's batting 700 in these finals with his stats.
That's pretty good. Better than Aaron Judge. And he's minus 4,000 to win the AL MVP. That's crazy. Okay, so since 2017, which I believe this would be the 8th Stanley Cup since then.
Correct.
There has been 4 occasions where in a game 3 or game 4, where the home team has come back home, they have gone on to win a game by a significant
hold
margin.
up, reset.
So
I'm already
since
lost.
2017, in game 3 or game 4, a team that has gone on to win the Stanley Cup has been, let's call it like a significant loss.
Blown out. 4 more goals.
Oilers, 8-1 Panthers, game 1. Panthers won the cup.
So in 2024, the Oilers beat the Panthers 8-1 in the game, blew them out. Yeah. Panthers went on to win that series on home ice.
Bolts beat the Avalanche 6-2, game 3, 2022. Avalanche won in 6. Boston beat the Blues 7-2 in game 3 in 2019. Blues won in 7. 2017, the Nashville Predators beat the Pittsburgh Penguins 5-1 in game 3. The Penguins went on to win that game in 6. So my takeaway of all of this is, it's game by game. And I know it's a very cliche thing to say, but like, you honestly all have to be in this chat and know that the Edmonton Oilers are significantly better than what they showed up with.
I think last game, and maybe this will be where we started I think that was Florida's best pitch and Edmonton's worst.
I can't be much worse. If they have worse,
if there's a level lower than that, then our flight home is going to be miserable.
It's going to be miserable. So, not worried about it. We'll be fine. I'm not guaranteeing a win tomorrow, but I'm going to say they're going to put out a much better effort than they did.
Mm-hmm.
And they'll get the first goal. Guaranteed first goal. A Liam guarantee.
A Liam guarantee of the first goal.
Just like I guaranteed a winning game, too.
Don't effing panic.
No.
Momentum doesn't carry over. Everything's going to be okay. Sidney Crosby, when he won his Stanley Cup, they were down 2-1. They were down 3-2. He won it in 7.
There you go. When the Oilers beat the Kings in a few years back, round 1 again, they were down 3-2. Back against the wall going into LA.
Beat Vancouver last year, down 3-2.
Beat Vancouver.
Forced to game 7, down 3-0.
They go to LA, Vegas, they win 1-0 in an overtime game.
Yep.
Like, that is a high stress game. And I don't want this to sound bad, but like game 4 of a Stanley Cup final, high intensity.
Yeah.
But the Oilers have been in spots before where they need a win and they've come out of it.
Absolutely. All right, let's get to our guest today. Okay. David Pagnotta, the 4th period. It's brought to you by Boston Pizza. I'll do an ad read. You get them all set up. Boston Pizza, proud partner of all of our playoff coverage here at the Nation. It has been 32 long years since a Canadian team has won it all. And Boston Pizza says, if you manifest it, if you plan it, you can win it. They got the parade bus already going through Edmonton. They believe that the Stanley Cup could be coming north. David Pagnotta from the fourth period joins us on our patio. We got to get David's headphones turned up a little bit.
There we go.
There we go. Is that better?
There we go. Gotcha.
Nice and good. David, appreciate you swinging by our lovely Airbnb.
Very nice.
You got the trunks on too? You going to go swim with Jay after?
I might. I don't know if I could keep up with him. I think that was a nice core workout he was going through. That was pretty solid.
He also had a jug of soap and was using it as a kettlebell on the dock. So he's really trying to show off
whatever it takes. Whatever it takes.
Where do you come out on the whole? You've covered a lot of Stanley Cup Finals. Where do you come out on the whole momentum doesn't carry over thing?
It kind of does to a certain extent. Okay. In both sides. Like from Florida's perspective, they're confident. Obviously, they're rolling right now. They like what happened, obviously yesterday, and they're going to build off that. From Edmonton's side of things, on the opposite, they know exactly what the hell happened and what went wrong and what not to do against this club going into the next one. So to varying degrees, yes, I don't think it's the be all and end all by any stretch, but it does play a little bit of a factor game by game as things progress.
I think too, like the momentum comment is interesting. I like what you said. I think it's confidence for me, and I don't think it's necessarily like a full team confidence. It's player by player. Like Klingberg now has made 2 plays that have almost resulted in goals, an overtime goal against in game 2, and it's just like, for me, those are the moments that the coaches need to look at and be like, okay, this guy doesn't have it right now. We cannot let him come into game 4 and almost harm that again. You know what I mean?
And I'm curious. I know there weren't any changes to the back end today in practice, but I do wonder about Klingberg. I do wonder what the mindset is there from Knobloch side of things, from the D side of things in terms of putting Stetch in there in comparison to Klingberg, depending on what direction they want to go, or go back to the D pairings that worked in the first couple of games for the most part.
I would have Stetcher in there. They weren't decisive enough moving the puck. And if there's one reason why I actually am a little bit worried about the way this series is playing out, is because coming in, it was kind of these two elements going head to head of like, okay, Edmonton had not faced a forecheck as ferocious as the Florida Panthers. The Florida Panthers, I don't think, had faced a blue line that moved the puck as well as the Oilers, at least the way the Edmonton was playing through rounds 2 and 3, like just picking apart Vegas and Dallas. And I was like, okay, one of these things is going to give, right? Either Edmonton's going to be moving it too quick for Florida to even establish their forecheck, or Florida's going to expose that maybe these Oilers puck movers aren't as good at moving the puck as we thought. Through 3 games, it is very clear what answer we're getting.
Yeah, and look, these are 2 teams that didn't face the same type of opposition in the conference final.
Yeah, totally.
Right? The amount of depth that the Oilers possess in comparison to what Florida had to deal with Carolina, night and day. And vice versa. Dallas's depth decided that they wanted to just go hit the course early. So, which was surprising. It was shocking for me, quite frankly. So to focus on one line, you shut that down, you're in good. You're in good standing. Same with the Panthers side of things. Now you've got the offense kind of combating a little bit. Obviously, no Hyman plays a factor, but to have that depth against you, they hadn't had to face that in the previous round. That's why it was almost smooth sailing for both of these clubs going into the final. Now you got 2 tractor trailers going head to head. Some mistakes and miscues in game 3 from Edmonton's side of things allowed Florida to take advantage of that. The scary thing for me from Florida's side of things is that they didn't force any of the issues. They just kind of answered.
Yeah.
And that is if I'm an Oiler fan, sorry, but from that side of things, that's what's going to worry me the most. But at the same time, it was so back and forth in the first 2 games. You lay an egg in game 3, who cares? You can roll back out in game 4 and rebound.
Yeah. Do you rebound with the same goalie? Stu Skinner, 6-0 career in game 4s with like a 944. But just like I'm sitting here saying momentum doesn't really carry over from game to game. You can't just sit and point at a blind Stuart Skinner game 4 record and be like, surely you go right back to him.
Yeah. And to piggyback off your stat from earlier.
Yeah.
I'll try to simplify it even more. In the last 19 Stanley Cup Finals, 8 teams that won Game 3 won the Stanley Cup.
Oh, good.
So it's a 42% Game 3 winner hitting the Stanley Cup in the last 19 years.
Okay.
Are you saying Liam doesn't explain his stats very cleanly?
No, I was adding to it.
Just another layer.
I was expanding on it. So, I mean, look, these numbers with these 2 teams, honestly, this series, it can go in either direction with the way that these guys are playing. for me, I'm not laying that exclusively on Stuart Skinner.
No.
Even the first goal, like that was a scramble. Everybody was all over the place. Maybe everyone was a little too excited. I think on both ends.
I think that's some of the penalties the Oilers took too. Like Kane wanted to take the extra shot on Marchand, high stick. Like they were overexcited. That's a good point.
And I know everyone's going to start bitching and moaning about the refs. But it's not like these guys go out there. The refs go out there and just call it and it's done. They warn these guys.
Yeah.
Okay, boys, stop doing that. Watch your stick. Watch the cross check. Watch it. I'm going to call it. Now I have no choice. And usually the one that's the no choice call is the lightest.
Well, and that's why I kind of got to chuckle again. The ref when Kane and Forsling are battling in front.
Yeah.
Forsling also hears, watch your stick, Kane.
100%.
So when he, you can almost see Forsling in the clip, shoulder check and sees Kane's, he does the little, and then he's down. And it's shoulder
suddenly.
check. And
look at it. And doop.
Yeah.
But you're right. There's probably 2 or 3 before that, or in games 1, whenever McCauley and whoever the other official was had the game. It might be a reputation call.
Yeah. Well, it's part of it, but it's also sequential.
Yeah.
That's not just one thing that's happening. And okay, buddy, easy on that. Next one is a call.
Yeah.
It's usually a few warnings, and the refs are like, all right, we're fed up with this.
What do you make of the embellishment stuff from Florida? Because sometimes, the one that we talked about earlier before you came in, but the Lundell one when Nurse cross-checks him.
There was a couple
so
there. Yeah.
Clear, what's happening here, and I think that's what's frustrating a lot of people in the chat. Is okay, you can talk about the cross-checking and the refs calling it out, but then surely they've got to go up to Paul Maurice and be control your bench, you love.
Yeah, and that message does get relayed eventually because they hear it, especially in intermissions, they hear it and they go, oh. Okay, well, we'll send a bit of a message here going across. It's so fast. I've been on them all playoffs in a variety of series, but it's so freaking fast that it's hard to just in that moment make the call. I would love for there to be playoff review, penalty review, where you've got another official in a booth that reviews it up top, so you don't have to wait on a replay. You don't have to delay the game.
Right.
The ref can go, nah, he's messing around on that. Just no call.
Right.
Just take the penalty back. Because in the moment, how do you it's
totally.
It's so freaking fast. But I mean, from Florida's perspective, they're taking advantage of that. It's not to say the Oilers can't do the same.
No, totally.
Right.
I'm very curious to see how it goes in Game 4 because the officials obviously will go and look and see how things. In that game, and I'm sure their head official will call and be hey, we got to watch this stuff.
We Sam Bennett, Game 1, goalie interference. Game 2, you can call it weak, whatever. But the ref said, "Oh, that was accidentally on purpose," and they called it.
Right,
so, I wrote it today in my piece. I think it's up now at Oilersnation. But I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if I could bet 365 on an embellishment call coming in the next 2 games. I probably lay the juice on that because I feel like the refs they don't want to get embarrassed either. They would watch Lundell flopping around after and be like, "God damn it, you made us look bad."
Yeah, and they do that. Yep. They do review. They review the game afterwards. They review it. They've got 2 days to go through this one.
A long time,
right? So they're going to sit back and go, God. Again, So there's going to be a warning, and maybe it's 2 warnings, not 4 next time for the team, and that sort of thing. But if I'm the Oilers, why wouldn't I be doing the same thing in next game?
Totally. I'm a little Ron Burgundy-ish. If someone puts something in the chat, I'll believe it. Someone said that Sam Bennett is going to be the first. He could become the first ever player to win a Conn Smythe and then enter unrestricted free agency that summer.
No,
who else
didn't? Marchessault just do that the other season?
No, I think no, that was 2 years ago.
He was still under contract
because he just signed in Nashville this last summer. Remember, coming off the Florida Cup win.
Okay.
If that is true, that's crazy. You're obviously very plugged in. People can read your stuff at the 4th period. Are we really talking a $10 million Sam Bennett, a guy who's going to turn a career high 51-point regular season into $70 million?
No.
Okay.
There's no way.
No.
It's crazy.
Look, are there teams that have 30, 40 million in cap space that are screw it, let's give them a silly offer?
Yeah.
Maybe. Because there are teams that are going to be aggressive in terms of utilizing their cap space and utilizing their dollars because they want to start taking the next steps, like the Ducks. I just don't see it. I'm expecting this to follow a similar path to that of Sam Reinhart last year.
Yeah.
They've got the framework. Let's go through the nuts and bolts after the fact. Let's get through the Cup final and then figure it out. I think we're in the 8x8 range at a max.
Yeah.
in terms of him staying here. Now, does that translate to $9 million in Edmonton and in Toronto and New York?
Oh, here comes the state income tax conversation.
I mean,
if Gary hears this, he's going to kill you.
Oh, I know. We had him on. I did a pregame show for Sirius XM. And we had Gary on after game one. We had to ask him about it. And we're like, listen, look, I'm not a big proponent to that. I don't think it factors much. Last time I checked, there's not a beach in Edmonton with the ocean nearby. That's what I mean. So Leon committed to 8 years.
Yeah.
Connor's probably going to do the same relatively soon. It's all about winning. So would I rather win in Florida and get it, or would I rather live in Florida with a chance to go after a Stanley Cup for the next 5+ years? Or do I want to go to Anaheim? Yeah, there are beaches there too, but it's going to take 5 years before they're legit contenders. That's really what it comes. Nobody wanted to play in Edmonton or Toronto when they were going through their rebuild. No, so it's primarily it's about winning.
And go back to before Florida was winning, who are they getting in free agency? Jason Demers?
Yeah.
Classic. We had Demers.
I saw, JD,
Oh, well, there is one player. There was a bit of conversation of Trent Frederick possibly staying in Edmonton.
Yeah, they've been going back and forth.
Yeah, what do you make of that? Do you think that's the right decision for Edmonton? My idea of it is you've got guys like Henrique and Arvidsson coming off the Bucks, not this year, but the year after, obviously. He's also, 27? They are the oldest team in the league, unless Pittsburgh still owns them. I'm not sure where they're at with that, but they got to get some kind of young guys in. And also, too, Frederick is coming to this team injured and you've not seen what he can fully be.
But I would hope then, is it a case of the Oilers think they're maybe buying low on a player here?
Yeah, maybe.
If he stays, I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
From their sake, because I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I've been disappointed with what he's brought to the table.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And he was part of the big BS hoopla last night.
Yeah.
So that's great. How about you go create some offense? He had that one opportunity in overtime in game 2.
Yes.
Right by the net. And I was like, oh,
that would have been a welcome.
Awesome. He's playing tonight.
Yeah.
But it's taken him a little bit of time to adjust. Injury probably played a factor there, but he's had 4 rounds.
Yeah, it's been a while now.
So if it's a buy low scenario, I'm in. Prop 2 years, because he's going to want to he's going to believe in himself as well.
Yeah.
Say, look, I'll commit. I want to win, but I'll commit. I'm going to basically bank on myself here.
So the buy low isn't a Yanni Gord 6 years, $3 million. It's let's do a 2 by 2 point something, whatever it might be. And you know what? You might have a shot to play with Leon Draisaitl next year.
Yeah.
And then 2 years.
Pad those stats. Go get your 5-6 somewhere. Yeah. Right? If I'm in that respect. Yeah. The Yanni Gord thing, that's the new way to. I'm gonna get in trouble.
It's borderline cap circumvention.
I was just thank you. It's not borderline. That's the new age of doing it. Yeah. Extend the years, lower the AAV, get his money anyway.
And you do the whole. How many more years you got left in you? 4. Yeah, and your knee, right?
Yeah.
Your knee's got 4 years left in it, doesn't it? Yeah, LTIR. Boom, you're gone.
Problem solved.
What do you make of the idea to step away from the Cup Final a little bit, since we're doing some off-season talk? The idea that this summer is going to be just an offer sheet frenzy and every front office is conspiring and we're going to do what Doug Armstrong did. Do you buy that, or do you sit there and go, no, the reason they didn't happen is because it's very hard to do?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm the latter. I don't think there's, if there are 0 this summer, there's no sad trombone.
No.
Look, if it happens, it's going to happen like it did last year, August. Mm-hmm. End of July, beginning of August. Teams are right up against the cap. They've made other moves. They can't get certain guys signed. They've got $4 million in space, but I can give this player $6 million. Or they've got $2 million. I can give this player $3.5. And you kind of handcuff a team. Exact situation that happened last year. I don't see it. All this nice talk in Toronto.
Well, at what point do you go with Matthew Nyes? Let's say you give him, I think it's $11.6 million, and it's a first, a second, and a third. Okay, first off, you are paying Matthew Nyes $11.6 million. Yeah. Might be a terrible idea. Secondly, give up those 3 picks. Just go trade a first, second, and a third round pick for someone else who can help.
Yeah. Just because I'm the Sharks or the Ducks and I have a crap ton of cap space doesn't mean I'm going to utilize that and give up my first round pick. It's not a first round pick. It's my first round pick.
Yeah.
So you've got to be able to they're going to be crap next. The Sharks are not going to take that next step. No. The Ducks in contention,
pretty
they
close,
hope.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But from San Jose's perspective, no. So there's no point in going in that direction. I'm all for the players to get their money. Go get your bank. Agreed. Go do what you got to do. Collect. Good on you. if someone's stupid enough to pay you $11 million, that's on them. Take that home to the bank any day of the week. I do anticipate certain scenarios. Like there's a reason why the Rangers are exploring the market on Keandre Miller, right? There's a reason why Vegas is looking at Nick Hague as a potential guy to move out. So those are situational. They don't have a ton of cap space, those particular teams, because they have other moves to make. Maverick Bourque in Dallas. The Stars have
Not a lot
$4.5 million in cap space. You know, we're going to hear Mason Marchman's name a little bit more. He's got a $4.95 million cap hit, final year of his deal. We'll hear him a little bit more in the next few weeks as they try to unload, because they want to get to a certain threshold to give them an ability to sign Bourque, keep Jamie Benn for probably peanuts. Mm-hmm. I'd hope for their sake. And then they got to replace Matt Duchene somehow.
Yeah.
So they need, those teams need that kind of flexibility. If we see one this summer, I'd be like, okay, maybe I'm sure, but I'm not expecting a frenzy.
Aaron, can you flash up the compensations again that Puckpedia had? Because I do think the Maverick Bourque thing is really interesting. Like, if you're a team that's like, no, we really believe in Maverick Bourque. We think he can fit on our second line. Second round pick, $4.67 million. Like, it's a Holloway-esque kind of move, or like, oh, we believe in the upside, and if he gets opportunity, and if you're a team like Anaheim or San Jose who has other second round picks, you just sit there and go, yeah, I can see that for sure.
Right.
But,
and in those kinds of scenarios, the agent is having a conversation with the GM going, all right, here's how this is potentially going to play out. If it works to our favor the way we anticipated, you succeed, you gel with our group, you hit whatever point threshold, here's what the future will look like. And if it doesn't, here's what else we're looking at. But we're willing to give you the money now, and we're going to take a risk. You are too. And let's figure this out.
Yeah. Or you end up with a scenario like Sebastian Aho, where he signs the $9.5 million offer sheet, and it almost felt like Carolina was like, oh, thank you.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for doing our negotiating for us.
Speaking of Carolina, yes, Barry Kakanyemi.
Oh, fuck.
Here is a thank you. We'll lock this in. Here's what we're looking at down the road. And they locked that friggin' contract in, and
it's ugly.
Oopsies.
The Oilers obviously got stung by it last year. Frank today at Daily Faceoff, he wrote Joel Hofer as being a guy who could maybe be on the offer sheet watch list. And I understand it from the sense of, like, if you are going to just be married to Jordan Binnington, at some point next year after, some point down the line, you need to give Joel Hofer money. And at what point do you just say, we can cash in on the value of one of these guys? If the Oilers were to ever get retribution on it, like, is there a little bit of logic to, like, if you went to Hofer and said, here's a 4x4 and you're going to run with Stuart Skinner as your partner next year, and then at the end of the next year, we'll make a decision on things, but we got you locked up. You only have to give up like a second round pick for him or whatever. That's an interesting spot to be like, you know what? Hofer and Skinner played together in juniors.
They won a dub title together.
They won a dub title. Like, that would be interesting for me if the Oilers decide to mix up their goaltending. Like, no, don't go pay for John Gibson, give him $6 million. Take a shot at the Blues and go see if you can get Joel Hofer and say, hey, Joel, how's $16 million guaranteed sound?
I'm having a conversation with Stu before I even go down that road. Right? Like,
but if you lose in this cup final because Stu's not good in the next couple of games, do you sit there and go, don't really care how you feel, Stu?
Fair. Yeah, I mean, if he lays one in the next couple, see you later. If he pulls the shutout out tomorrow or on Thursday,
sign his new deal.
Different. Well, easy on that too. Let's not get crazy. But it's certainly part of the conversation, right? I think from an Oilers perspective, I wrote about this of 2 weeks ago. At the early part of the season, they made a serious inquiry to Boston about Jeremy Swayman, just to see what the options were. But I was told it was pretty decent, like they were serious about it. Stan was it didn't obviously go anywhere, but they were certainly looking at alternative options here. I think they're comfortable right now, but let's see how the next few games go in terms of Stu's performance. I expect them to play Game 4. I'd be a little surprised if they make that type of switch, but if you can, clap back at St. Louis a little bit.
It's a fun exercise.
Not the end of the world. I think it'd be fun. Like, I think everybody understood the situation, but hey, let's take another shot here.
Yeah, why not? We already got Kapanen.
You're good to stick around for like 5 more minutes?
Yeah, totally.
All right. We did do a short for giant poll real quick. 71% of you said you want to see Stuart Skinner get the start in Game 4. Also, Liam, our friend Cupier donated another $140 to the Ben Stelter Foundation as a thank you for watching us jump in the pool yesterday. Wow. So thank you to Cupier. This guy's crazy. He donates like $140 every show.
That's
but it all
awesome.
goes to the Ben Stelter Foundation, so great stuff there. We got to do one more quick segment for our friends at Bet365.
Okay.
Download the app today. Use the code NATION, whatever the moment. It's never ordinary at Bet365. Player props, futures, money line. Futures, though. That's where I'm focused today. So I put $10 on Stuart Skinner to win the Conn Smythe at the beginning of the playoffs.
Okay.
I don't vote on awards. I'm allowed to do it. We were tracking the cash out option, and at one point it got up to $25. But I said, no, if he wins the Conn Smythe, it's $2,000. I'm letting it ride. I'm facing a similar conundrum now. Put $10 on Evan Bouchard to have 30-plus shots on goal in this Cup final. He's already at 24. $10 paid out $430. They're offering me $350. Do I take the $350 because that's turning $10 into $350, or do we sit here and go, he's got 24 shots through 3 games? He'll get 6 more, and there's 2 more games guaranteed in this Cup final. Do you take the money, or do you let her ride?
Let it ride. Let it buck.
Easy to say when it's not your money. Would you take the money or let it ride?
Why are you asking?
I'm kind of leaning in that direction, to be honest.
Yeah.
I might let that one ride. I mean, if the Oilers have any serious hope of making a serious run here, they need the Boosh bomb.
Yeah,
They do.
So I'm
big time.
I'm throwing out like 3 or 4 tomorrow, or I keep saying tomorrow, but Thursday in Game 4.
Another thing they did, which should sway you into our line
right.
here, they switched to the power playing game in the second period,
Yep.
and Bouchard was on both units.
Well, they were starting to play Wallman almost. It was like a hybrid second
and
unit. It's
then
like a
Nuge went
1-8.
on the second one. Yeah, then
Yeah.
switched Wallman, and Ekholm was there, and Bouchard was firing him. So
We obviously have a chat with a whole bunch of Oilers fans watching it, David. So before we go, we want a little give the people some Oilers optimism. Chart the path to them getting back in this series and maybe even winning it. How can they do it?
Well, go back to what made you successful. Play the high speed, high tempo type of game. Don't start trying to bully the Florida Panthers. That shit doesn't work.
Yeah.
So forget about that.
You got it out of your system, though.
Yeah.
And now,
and keep your composure.
yeah,
Right?
Yeah.
Don't keep your composure Will Ferrell style and old school. Get your shit together, because you start going after these guys, they're going to laugh in your face like they did last night.
Yep.
So go back to the basics. A lot of this is going to be dependent on how Nuge is really health-wise, because that's going to modify their game plan a little bit here. Having him on the left side of Connor, when they want to throw Leon on that left side, allows them to throw Nuge right in the middle. And they played well. That line with Kasperi Kapanen and Evander Kane, they did solid.
they did.
But if he's not healthy, and clearly something's bothering him.
yeah.
It's going to be a bit of a problem. So we'll see kind of where things go in this one. But go back to the basics. Go back to what you were doing in Game 1. Create more high tempo opportunities, and hope that can get you across, and that your D can kind of, and D being the entire team, not just the D core, help shut things down like you did in Games 1 and 2 for the most part.
Right.
Yeah, fair enough. We're going to have more keys to victory talk, obviously, in the next couple of days. This weird extra off day. What are you doing? You got big plans?
I'm having a few adult beverages after this.
Hell yeah.
We'll see how many.
Maybe.
We'll see how many that goes. Yeah, that happens. But today was great. I didn't have to go to practice, so that was good for me. So I'm this ass is going to the beach.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And with tomorrow being again another off day, and I don't think the Oilers are skating. I've dubbed tonight my green light night.
Attaboy.
So I'm with you on that. I'm with you on that.
There's a few festivities going on in town that'll help in that situation.
Great. Appreciate you swinging by. Thank you.
Thank you.
All
Guys.
right,
Appreciate it.
We're actually just going to wrap up the show here real quick. Big thank you to David. Big thank you to Jason Demers for joining us later on the show. Everyone in the YouTube, great stuff as always. We'll be right back here tomorrow, noon Mountain Time, off day edition of the show. Maybe Liam will do it from the pool. But thank you for tuning in. Aaron back in Edmonton. Great work producing this bad boy. We'll see you Wednesday, noon Mountain. Oil up.